Without further ado, once again, this video is sponsored by my viewers. Thank you, Bradley specifically. This particular one, sponsored by and dedicated to the Patreon people. Thank you. This is a special thank you for the Patreon people. There's special stuff I do with my Patreons. Thank you. Just thank you. I do special stuff for you guys. Just seriously. Y'all are going to help me get my mobile home, my bus, my whatever. And so as I just do more stuff over there, I'm seeing a few more people over there. So thank you. Um, and I got to make sure to put the link to the Patreon so everyone can get over there. That's important. And I just have to say, you can. I don't think there's a minimum amount, even if it is $5. I think people are giving it $1 to be a subscriber. And I'm pretty sure that even at $1, you'll get your money's worth. Certainly, there'll be more than $1 worth over there that you will be able to read. And I guarantee there'll be so much stuff over there, you'll be way more overwhelmed. Even this month isn't closed out, but even with what's over there this month, last month, there's so much shit, so much stuff over there. As I said I would from the beginning, I have stuff over there available to the public. So you have to sign up to be a Patreon, whatever. I mean, I don't know that part of it on your end, but I know, on my end, I can tell you I have stuff available to the public, and some of the earlier stuff that is the most basic information, and some of it is very, and even though when it was for public, I did other little special things for Patreon, and I always made sure to post a copy over to Patreon. And 6 months, I think maybe, was your free stuff for you guys. I've been doing Patreon for like 2 years now, well over a year. So for the first early on, it was free. 6 months, 7 months, I don't know, a year, whatever. I've been doing this over a year, like I said. So there's a bunch of stuff over there for free, for the public. I don't know if anyone else that does that. Certainly not my stuff. No one else would give you my stuff for free. So don't. So, oh, Patreon, oh, you pay. Yeah, there's stuff for even the shitheads who don't deserve the free stuff. There's stuff for you too, right? Just because I love you, even if you don't deserve it, I still love you anyway. Go over there and see it. Thank you. Logic is a tool, it's not a destination. Increasing, increasing in frequency imposes a directionality or logic to the thinking side activity. Frequency becomes a vector or a velocity or a straight line vector as logic is directed. Right? So as you move up in frequency, you can't help it, as your brain starts heating up and, the electricity starts firing, you just get, the ideas start flowing, like the ever increasing hamster, the frequency escalates. This is not ascension, nor is this the collective consciousness at work. Increasing frequency divigates or diverges into the logical side. Logic is simply a directed sense geared at processing mental sensory data. It deliberates from what has been sensed into the thought forms of mind. So your sensory, input, right? And you can physically, bodily feel stuff, like your stomach. You can feel something in your gut. A lot of times isn't right, right? I get that gut feeling, a hunch. Uh, your brain, one side of the brain is able to, understand that. The other side has to logically figure out whether that feeling is valid or not. It's got to agree with it. The electric side, the formless side, the side inside of the head, basically. Um, and that's the electric side of it, of the deliberative process at work. The starting point for the logical process might start at any point, even an emotional or an intuitive sense. So you get that gut feeling, and you could take it anywhere, right? You can reason anything, you can rationalize anything, And if it's unsecured somewhere on the other side, uh, you run the problem of not being able to ground out that electrical energy, of the things that you say to yourself that offset it. And it works both ways. We can say things to ourselves and out talk something we should be listening to, a body telling us something, and just dismiss it and talk ourselves out of something that we should take care of. It works both ways, right? The logical process can start anywhere. So either you, and this depends on the hormones. I've said this before. This is part of your thinking. The software of the thought is the hormones. There's we the rest of the world around us is can be glass and steel and concrete and very, and bricks and all of this, solid stuff. And that's wonderful. A train and automobiles, like a bicycle, solid. However, all of it still rests in our head. Whatever thoughts we have are still in the sponginess of our head. Your thoughts are not your bicycle. My bicycle, my car, right? And even your car can't think for you, right? They're trying to make everything to think for you, and so you just can be on autopilot and you don't have to do any thinking, right? That's fine. But the logical process, logic is just a process that escalates, to narrow down into a direction, to move you in a direction, right? It's just one of the skills, one of the senses that we have. Logic is a sense, one more of the senses that we have. It's able to be paired up with language very well. It's now at the point, of a logical content to the writing itself, and logic is transmitted through writing. That's one of the reasons why I like it, why I love it, because it's there, I can see it, it's a hands-on thing, it's something from the head that would otherwise be invisible, put into the written word, and it's a magical process to me, right? And yet, logic is a tool, one of many we have. My ability to walk and talk at the same time, to sing and dance at the same time. It is a means of arriving at a conclusion. This tool, logic, is, or resolution of sensory data. Its job, that should be without an apostrophe, its job is to neatly, tightly resolve sensory data into digestible thought forms. And sensory data is also hormones. Right? Your brain also operates electrochemically, and some of those chemicals are hormones. Right? That's how your body interacts with other bodies as well, hormones and pheromones. Right? The job of logic is to resolve sensory data to digestible thought forms and make it so that you can process the sensory information around you in such a way as to categorize it of importance, right? Is this going to kill me? Right? I mean, theoretically, that's what logic is for, as a defensive mechanism. Ego, logic, a lot of the stuff is, it is a defensive mechanism, right? I mean, it's just, at its basic level, it's a defensive mechanism or a coping mechanism. Right? Either or. There's a need for it to work properly among us so that we can all kind of distinguish who, friend or foe, okay? And if I'm willing to accept a foe, someone who's not my friend, how do I negotiate that relationship with them, right? Can I logically, from here to there, what's my goal? That would be to try and turn a foe into a friend, for example. Is that possible? Do I know how to do this? It depends, and some of this depends on the language. How well are we able to, communicate the thought forms? That's this thing of sharing what you know. May or may not be successful to you. I don't know. I've had trouble with it. But the thought forms is to resolve them in our head in a kind of linguistic way. Logic is irretrievably attached to words, word forms, word-based thought forms, linguistic uh, forms in the head, language-based thought forms in the head, right? There are things that we have that we can't really talk about, that may be so emotionally deep that we can't talk about, or that we don't really quite know, so we can't be clear about it, right? And that's fine. Right? There's no reason we can't have that in our head. And so, in my view, it's fine enough to have a lot of things in your head you can't explain, or you're not able to, not willing to, or it doesn't matter, right? But for the sake of our sanity, this is where the hard point of this comes in, is for the sake of the sanity and your mental stability. Logic and clear mental processing is imperative of getting out of any situation or arriving at a solution elegantly and efficiently. Right? So a lot of this is a technical kind of solution. Someone comes into the shop with a flat tire, can we fix it? If we can fix it, how long is it going to be? What's it going to cost? If not, is there a replacement tire for it? How long is that going to be? What's it going to cost? What I would call higher order stuff, a bunch of organized parts. You're driving a car. You got to pay for this. It's society. This is how society works. And then negotiating with the people. They came in to get. They thought they only needed 2 tires, and it turns out they have 4 bad tires, and one's really bad. Then they have to negotiate with me, figure out the best option, the best deal. Can we do a price match on something, right? Can I shave a few things here or there off, and whatever. Uh, and so there's a lot of logic and straightforward kind of thinking based on what their parameters are. And this is, as a technician, there's the thought forms of and the head in this case of your the 2 tires. If you just got 2 tires, is fine, but then these ones are going soon, in a month, that one's going to look like that. But part of it is the other person has to understand, when I'm interacting with someone and expressing how important it is they get 4 tires. So logic and clear mental processing can help you sometimes. And if you remove the intuitive, heartfelt factor of it, you can make a clear decision like, no, I can't help you. Sorry. Unless you cough up another $20, I can't help you. It allows you to do that. It allows you to shut off the feeling, intuitive, sensing, peripherals to your body, your feelings, and it works both ways equally as well, depending on the starting point, depending on what your viewpoint is, depending on your philosophy, depending on your attitude, depending on your belief system, depending on a lot of deep philosophy or something. I don't know what. Maybe it's your core belief, how you were raised. It goes deep. It goes deep. That's what determines where your logical starting point is. And from there, that arbitrary starting point of, I don't know, I need to make money on this one, or I need to care about this lady because, she's got kids. Either or, right? Logic can work either way, both. You're out there in the wilderness being chased by a wild animal. You can't give in to panic. You can't give in to fear. You need to find a way to survive, right? And that's where logic comes in. The easiest, quickest way to, does a bear climb? What do I know about the bear, right? Or a wild animal, or just keep your head about you, keep your wits about you in a survival situation. Yet, who is it a survival situation for? Can't you think logically for the person who it is a survival situation for? The lady with the kids? Yes, I could. I could think of that. Yep. And I even told her I'm going to get in trouble for doing this ticket because I took everything off that I should. But you need to come back and you need another 3 tires, ma'am, right? One is flat, but the other ones, right? Do you understand this? Yes, and if the lady, yes, yes. I don't know if she got 3 tires. She was there. There was like around the holidays. She was Christmas shopping, for God's sakes. She wasn't even like, you're not planning on getting a set of tires for yourself this Christmas, ma'am? You perhaps should. You have kids. They need to get home. You know, I, it's your safety, right? And you see, this one has no tread on it. This one has no tread. This one has a little tread, and I can shift them around a little bit for you, right? So I'll put the one with good tread here and flip them around. However, even if I put the spare on, that's a 50-mile tire. Merry Christmas. So logic itself does not act in a vacuum. The brain material is like a sponge. If you've ever seen it, it's like a sponge. It absorbs enzymes, basically. Creates electrochemicals. It deals with, electricity as its motive force and chemicals. It interacts with stuff and changes them electrochemically. The basis, sponge, like I said, the basis of all our thinking, reality, and existence is kept intact through the proteins and sugars of the DNA, some electrochemical activity, some hormones, and that is life. Amazing stuff indeed. So, as concrete as we might want, or solid and definite as we might want logic, with clear rational thinking to be, and how all that we look for it to be, we still are left with the organic nature of thinking and memory storage, the electrochemical nature of thinking, and stored in hormones, essentially. Enzymes, hormones, this is all organic stuff. This is not, this is the nature of, there isn't, there is a certain amount of consciousness inherent in the DNA. I can't say there isn't. There's a large amount of consciousness inherent within the DNA structure itself. The DNA is, it's able to adopt. It's able to morph, to change, but it is a living thing. It's part of the organic structure of the planet itself. So this is part of the paradox of logical thinking, as clear and concise, and all of this, as you demand logic to be, or you hope it can be. It's still based on the thoughts, which are fleeting. They still can, Alzheimer's or some disease or whatever can take your logic away, based on your memories, based on your thoughts, your thinking, your processing. Stops working, right? And then you have some dementia. You have some, you're not able to hold memory. You're not able to recognize things that are there. You're not present. A chunk of your brain, that allows you to be present here in the moment, live in the moment, may not connect with your physical shell, the body itself. Right? The body itself may take over the talking function, and you just talk gibberish. Right? The presence of mind, of logic and thinking and processing, may not be there in the human. Right? There may not be a person home. So, as concrete as we want logic and all that to be, it's still a sense, a sensory perception, and it has to be respected as being, an important survival instinct sense. Yet, logic itself can't explain a lot of things. It doesn't explain it, and it seeks to outside of the its purview. A lot of these intuitive, psychic, collective consciousness gifts that we all could potentially have, or do have the potential to have, they get out-logicked and get struck down by the logic being insecure, it not wanting the competition for how to know something. I think that's the best way to put it. How we file personal experiences matter how we retrieve them later on as needed. Intelligence is not simply a matter of what I've learned or remembered, but equally how well the brain has assimilated this information and then filed the content for retrieval for later on when I need it. Memories are, this is one of the things I've been working with on my guides for since 2017 when I went through the vow of silence. This is one of the things, I think this is why this is really so important for me, because I've been working on this longer than the Schumann resonances, and we're getting into, like 5 years, 4 years now. We're getting into close to 5 years of me working on this issue of language and talking hardcore in this, dealing with this exact issue here. Just exactly what I'm talking about here. Not language and blah, 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 other stuff and philosophy, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm talking about here. And so I've been asking that question for a while. The Tower of Babel. What happened at the Tower of Babel, and what happened with the language, and why is the confusion of languages, where to come from? So that's what I've been asking my guides, and this is what they've been giving me to work with. So hopefully it'll resonate with you. Memories are stored more securely if the three elements are met. So there's two sides to a coin. So the first one is like the words or the symbols. And then the second area is song or intonation, how you say something. And then the third area is the dancing or hand-eye movement, hand-eye coordination movement. Dancing, like I said, the hand, in lieu of your body as a whole moving, just the hand motions as well, but all these different things. That also falls under the category of gesture as well, having a gesture, but words as a gesture. I've talked about that. Learning the technical and engineering explanation of how the spectrogram works, how to properly read it, is a rather time-consuming and thought-intensive undertaking. The Disney version of the narrative is the easy-bake oven assemblage of factoids, pseudoscience, and wishful thinking. Truth is arrived at through agreement. Reality is what happens when the agreement fails. Truth is essentially determined by peer review. This is agreement by a group of your peers, like the jury of your peers, who are, and those are those who are similarly trained, conditioned, and linguistically experienced. So you all have the same jargon. Two or more sharing a philosophy or belief can agree on a massive set of facts, a whole bunch of facts interrelated, that are not actually scientifically, technically, or established facts. Sometimes you can have studies, you can have statistics on stuff. All right, there's these kind of shady areas. It's easy enough through the rhetorical pathway to weave a web of words, mutually supportive, without a grounding in objective reality or a physical density, as I've used the expression previously, such as guiding principles. Okay? Thusly, this is how the life of most in society, in human society, is ordered, through the agreement over facts and not the actual research itself. By agreement of two or more, we establish facts. And this is what they call a peer review.